Folks, here we're back again. We're calling this Southwick Stories. Me and Jim Putnam here, we did the 250th together. We seem to work very well off each other, and we decided, you know what? We need to talk about Southwick. We need to get some younger gentlemen in here and some younger women and get a little bit of the history of the world.
Oh, yeah.
At least our little corner of the world of Southwick.
Oh, yeah.
And today we have, your name, sir?
George Harvey.
George Harvey. Look
Yep.
at that.
Look at
And
that.
my understanding is you know Mr. Putnam here.
Oh, yes,
That's wonderful.
from the church, yep.
So Jim here is going to ask you a few questions, and we're going to have some fun. You ready?
Sure.
Jim,
Okay.
take it away.
Go ahead.
Well, welcome, George. I'm looking forward to having a good conversation with you about some of your memories of Southwick. So,
Oh, yeah.
tell us a little bit. Did you grow up in Southwick, or did you move here?
No,
at some point?
I originally was born in Brooklyn, New York,
Oh.
and I went to school, and after my father died, my mother sent me up to live in Suffield, Connecticut, with my aunt, and she had a nephew, and I had two nieces. So I lived there for a while, and then from there, they told me I was a little too small for basketball or any sports. So I went back to some place where we know a summer place we used to call in Halifax, New York. And I went back there, and that's when I graduated from school in 1945. Yeah. I was supposed to graduate in 44. I mean, in 45, 40. I graduated in 46. But I was
Gotcha.
supposed to have graduated in 45. But because my marks were so high, I didn't think I had to take the final exam. See, so I went out and I helped some people, other people in the school, in the lower grades to help them out. And so they got looking at the records, and they found out I was 2 units short. So they kept me there. And the next day, in 46, I automatically was graduated from the high school, of Halifax High School.
George, I had the same problem. I went to St. Mary's in Westfield, and in first grade, they informed me I did such a great job I should retake first grade at Franklin Avenue School and not to come back. So I understand that whole year thing.
Yeah.
But it's okay. We're
So-
smarter for that.
So when I graduated in 46, I needed 19 things. I had 17 and 45, but in 46 I had 26. I took a lot of artwork and so forth, and I pushed it up. So, Good. So it was good. And I was in the service. I had gone in the military service. I was drafted in the Army in the very latter part of World War II, when it was supposed to have been over, but it wasn't. And there was a Japanese attack coming to the Aleutians, and they alerted us, so our troops, to get over there in a hurry to stop it, and we stopped them.
Nice.
They never got through.
So were you in the reserves, or were you
No, I
in
was in the regular Army.
the regular Army? So you took some time off during the war to do your military service.
Well, no. Well, I was when I was drafted.
You drafted.
Drafted in, and I was drafted in an Army. The Army's the one that got me. The Navy wanted me, and the Marines wanted me, but
Army
the
got
Army got me. And then, in '47, I re-enlisted
Okay.
in the Air Force.
Air Force.
So that put me in served during the Korean War and the Vietnam War, but in the beginning of the Vietnam War. So that was my service time for that.
So thank you for that.
And
Yes.
That's very significant but very unique. So we are visiting with somebody who's a veteran of World War II, the Korean conflict, and the Vietnam War,
Yeah.
which is
Yeah.
I'm not sure there are very many people that can
There's not
say,
many left.
And so, did you actually go to the Aleutians?
Yes, I went to the Aleutians. We were related to go to the Aleutians.
Okay.
And I was over there, and I was in the Quartermaster Corps. So my job was to make up the menus for the people, for the troops to eat, for the menu. So they each got equal what they were supposed to have. So that was my military part. And then I came out, and then I worked for the post office out of Springfield. And I was there for over 20 some odd years. And so between the military time and the time I worked at West Point, I had 30 years all the time. But as for now, to get back to Southwick.
Sure.
When I moved here, and then where I live now, it was about 1967.
Okay.
See, I met my wife. She came from Springfield, and we got married, and I worked in a couple of jobs in Springfield. But then I got a job in the post office, and I worked there for almost 20 some odd years, and I retired from there, out of Springfield. It was Tapley Street.
Yep.
And so when we moved there, in our house, I've been in that house now since 1967,
Wow.
where I live. And it was a one-story house at once, and then for my nephew, they put an extra story on, so now it's two-story. And when we were living there, they had the trains running.
In your backyard, right?
In the backyard.
Yes.
So we had the trains running in the backyard for a while, and so it stopped. So we had to go up in the daytime and come back at night.
Wow.
The old Farmington line, they call it, I guess. And then I've seen the streets that were the wooden or dirt streets,
Yeah.
are now paved streets.
Yes.
Now, Berkshire Avenue didn't go all the way through. It went just a little further to my house. But then they extended it over to the end. I think it's Mount, I don't know what they call that street, but there's a street over there that
Yeah.
it connects to. And then I've seen the cars. There wasn't too many cars on College Highway, of
No.
course.
Nope.
And
The streets were probably quiet rather quickly. at
really
night.
quiet.
Yeah.
And I think I think I don't know. Somebody told me. I don't know. I think it was true. Where the big Y was, there was the military golf. There was the military golf course.
There was.
Yes, there was.
There was.
Yes.
Yes.
There was the military golf
Good
course.
times.
Yeah.
And of course they had Babs. Remember Babs skating rink? And that
I was at the end of it, but yes, I do remember it.
They
Did
had.
you ever skate there?
Oh, I skated there a lot. yeah.
Okay. So you're quite the roller skater, huh?
Well, I used to roller skate there, yeah, and I roller skated at Riverside.
Okay.
Riverside,
Yeah.
yep, yep.
Sure.
So, but that we had quite a time there, and then things have changed. I mean, and of course you had your neighbors, and everybody knew everybody. You know what I mean?
Literally.
Literally knew everybody, and
Yeah.
they didn't have the boat ramp, but so everybody in certain groups had a right of way to the beach. I mean,
Yep.
to the lake, to Congamon Lake, and they had a little rafts that they put out and so forth, and they had a little beach they sat on, and it's quite a thing at one time.
Yeah.
But now, as I said, most of those people are either dead or they're not around anymore. But those were the good times. And another thing, when just for informational purposes, when Riverside closed,
Yes.
they wanted to come out to Southwick, and establish it across the street from the post office. So they wanted to buy all that land,
Yeah.
and they're going to and then have the theater out here. But there was a little problem. They said it was too much traffic, and they wouldn't let them do it. So,
They say that a lot in town here. Everything's too much traffic.
so that's what's going on. And
Yeah.
they said
The Speedway, right, was what they wanted to move out here.
At one point, yes,
Yeah.
they did.
the
Yes.
Speedway
yeah.
too?
Yeah,
Yeah.
the Speedway too. Yeah.
yeah.
That went pretty far, and then that was too much too.
Well,
yeah.
I knew the director of the Storytown Theater, so
Gotcha.
he told me about how he was going to move out. They wanted to move out here, and it would have helped the Southwick with their taxes and their incomes, money for the.
Yeah.
Plus, we would have had all those great acts that they used to have
Oh,
over
they
there,
had
huh?
great actors. Oh, my wife, we used to go to all the shows. Yeah, and they had the regular actors, and it was and we used to go to Storytown. We used to go to Storytown restaurant,
Yeah.
and then we'd go from the restaurant to the
The
theater.
theater, yeah.
Yeah.
And they had hockey back then too, right?
Oh, they
The-
had
the Coliseum,
that Coliseum
sure.
All
was
the- all
very
the-
popular.
all the-
Springfield Indians.
Yeah.
Oh, they had the
Yep.
hockey going, and they always had
that racetrack. I think there was a circle track back there.
There
at
was
one
a
point.
half-mile track
A
there.
half-mile track.
yeah, they
You
had
are a biggie enthusiast. I just clicked. I'm so
well, they
sorry.
did.
Yes.
They did have a racetrack there.
Yes, they did. Yeah. Yep.
That was originally the horse track over there, and then at some point before our time, it morphed into a half mile stock car track.
Wow.
Oh yeah.
If
Yep.
you were were used to going to races at Riverside, that was a quarter mile. Or
It was
50
small,
miles.
yeah, I think it was a
small.
quarter mile,
I
yeah.
mean, they were turning.
Yeah, they're always turning.
They were always turning.
Yeah, yep.
at
I can picture that.
The Big E. They
That
had
was a big track,
straightaways.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
They could,
Yep.
they could
My younger days, it was the Joey Chitwood show
yeah.
Oh,
at the Big E.
yeah.
You know,
Oh, they
Big
used to.
deal, right?
yeah, it really was. It really was.
Remember when they used to hold the circus at the what do you call it, the Big E
The
area?
Shriners Circus, yeah.
They used to have a circus
Oh,
every
yeah,
year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was quite a thing to see.
Yep.
George, was there any special reason why your wife and you decided to move to Southwick?
Yeah, well, the reason excuse me, the reason we moved to Southwick is she had sister-in-laws that lived out here. And one of them lived over on one of the street across from where I lived.
Okay.
And the other one lived a little further down on Berkshire Avenue. So she wanted to be with her sisters.
Sure.
So that's how we moved to
Okay.
but originally I had moved to Fred Jackson Road,
Okay.
probably about a couple of years before, but we had trouble with the house because we were on a water ledge, and every time it rained or something, we got water in the cellar, and we finally got out of there,
Yeah.
and we bought the house where I have it now on 41 Berkshire Avenue,
Yep.
Southwick, Mass. Yep.
I believe I delivered a few meals to you over the years.
I think you have.
Yes, sir.
Yes, and you have delivered a few too. I
Yeah.
remember.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thanks to you.
Take care of your own.
Many a Thanksgiving meal. Thank you very much.
You're
welcome.
And we did go over to, I think, where your place, two meals over there eventually before
Yep.
we had the COVID problem.
What do you think of all the work at the Congregational Church? Isn't that beautiful?
I think it's doing wonderful. I remember
Because you had said he goes there, and I just thought about
Yeah.
that.
Oh,
Yeah.
I've been a member of that church for quite a few years.
Yeah.
I was a member for about, my wife and I were a member for about, 40 some odd years.
Yeah.
And they had a little problem with the treasury, because we didn't take envelopes, see?
Oh, gotcha.
We put them in the plate, like it's
Right.
supposed to be, but they complained that we didn't take envelopes, so they pushed us out of the church.
Right.
And we had a lot of trouble getting back in there.
Yeah, but you got it.
I got back
You
in.
got it.
I got back in, and now I'm back in. I'm glad to be back there again.
We
Yeah.
love to have you, George.
Because I missed the place, because it was a wonderful church. My wife loved it, and
Yeah.
we had a wonderful time there.
Yep. The steeple looks beautiful.
Oh,
What do you
yeah.
think of the memorial there?
The memorial,
Isn't
yeah.
that gorgeous?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you look on memorial in World War II, you'll see my name.
I will look next time I'm there.
Yeah.
And we'll have to check to make sure it's there for Korea.
Yeah,
And
honestly,
Vietnam.
first thing he said, I thought of right away.
I don't know if it's there for the Vietnam. I didn't see it there for the Vietnam one.
Well, I think Joe knows how to get you added.
I got a guy.
yeah,
I truly
I
do.
know they checked my records and everything else, and
Yeah.
found out.
Not a problem. We can make things happen. in this
So
house.
I appreciate it, and
Yep.
it's quite an honor to finally get.
What do you think's the biggest change in this town all these years? Is it the third lane in the middle here on College Highway the biggest change, or is it the boat ramp down by you?
Well, the boat ramp is a change,
Yeah.
and it's all right for the state has it. And once in a while, I'll go down there and fish. I don't keep the fish.
No.
But I catch them just for sport, you know.
Yeah. The sport.
They appreciate that.
Yeah, they do.
And I use a fly reel, which is not the greatest thing. I'd rather use a casting reel.
Gotcha.
But that's all right. I have a lot of fun with that.
Were there plenty of beaches back in the day when you first came
Oh,
here?
everybody in certain areas had their own beach. And the town beach is down where the transformer was.
Yes, back then.
That
Yes.
was the original town beach.
Yeah.
And the last time that I ever really went in the water is when it was owned by the original owners.
Really?
And I've been over there for parties, for the senior center.
Sure, sure.
But I've never been in the water. But I know it was quite a place down there. We had
Yeah.
the town has really grown up. It was a
has.
small town. It was, and one thing that I should mention, they had a sign when they came over the mountain from Agawam.
Yep.
This is the dope-free town, and it was there for years.
Dump free?
Dope. They had dope. There was dope.
Dope free.
Dope-free town. In other words, they didn't have no trouble with dope in this town.
Right. Well, we
But then
recently changed that.
Well, of course, when you have the new people come in, the things. Well, yeah,
Oh, yep. Things change.
but
Yeah.
that's how it's changed,
Yeah, yeah.
And of course, the people I don't know, the people who used to use the beach, most of them are gone.
Yeah.
So I'm probably the only one now around who maybe that's around now that's
You
left.
must have all new neighbors compared to
All
when you
new
moved
neighbors.
in, yeah.
Well, I have one neighbor next door. His name was Snooky something. I forget what his name was, but he used to live on one side of me, and he's still there. And Mrs. Walker was the other one, and she deceased, but
Yeah.
and Shively is the one who built my house, and he's still there.
Oh, yeah.
But
yeah.
those are about the only three of us that are left
Yeah.
of the original
Yep.
people that were here
Sure.
before. So the town has grown up, and of course it's got its A and P. It's got its not A and P. It's got its big Y.
Yep.
Yep, and
It's got its grocery store, it's got its gas stations, it's got its
Oh,
pizza shops,
oh, yeah.
it's got its liquor stores.
That's right.
What
Ice
more do
cream
you
shops?
need? Couple ice cream shops.
Oh, they
right?
got it. But the town,
everything.
it's really grown.
It has.
It's really grown,
It
and the
has.
traffic is tripled.
At least.
At least.
At least.
At least. I know. I used to walk up. I had my little walker, and I used to walk up the big Y
Oh,
before
boy.
they put the path in.
That's
you
a
know.
hike.
And
Yeah.
I got up there, and the traffic was so heavy. There happened to be two police cars. They got out of the police cars and they stopped the traffic so I could get across.
What do you think about our police and fire department?
I think they're wonderful. They do a wonderful job.
They really do.
They really do.
Yeah.
And I know I have trouble. I have a button that I usually wear. I have a pacemaker.
Yeah.
And if that goes off, I mean, they're right on the button. If they have to come in a hurry, they're there. And there's always an ambulance standing by.
Yeah.
I noticed that. Right
Yeah.
off that extension area.
Yeah.
there's
Yeah.
always
There's
an
always one sitting.
There's always an ambulance sitting up there waiting,
Yeah.
in case.
They got great communication.
Because
with
I'm a
the
little
police.
on the age side. I'm 96.
96.
I'm only going to be. I'll be 96 this September. I'm 95.
There you go.
So
And we're looking forward to celebrating your 100th in a couple more years.
Yeah,
So,
that's right.
We're going to have a
Absolutely.
big party.
and of course I have a lot of fun. I walk. I go on the bike trail, and I have my little walker, and I just walk along the trail.
Yeah.
I go 2 or 3 miles a day, and that's it.
That's what I love about the bike trail. You see all kinds out there. You see the serious bicycle people. You see the skateboarders.
Oh,
yeah.
You see
Roller
the
skaters.
moms with the little kids in the carriage. Now, what I get a kick out of is once in a while you see young mom, usually on rollerblades,
Yeah.
pushing the little kid, and it's like, wow.
Yeah.
You know,
That's some talent right there.
There's some talent.
Yeah.
Oh,
To-
yeah.
to- oh.
And kid must like it because they're getting a good ride.
Yeah,
sure.
Yep.
But and then you see, people on walkers or walking very carefully. It's
And
it fits all ages,
does.
all motivations.
That's right. And when I walk, if they pass you certain ways, they'll let you know, either
Yeah.
on the right or the left. They'll let you know so that you know. And I'm usually out of the way. I move them through. I know that. I look back and I see them coming. I move over anyway. So I'm on the edge of the thing. So they got plenty of time to get through.
Yeah,
through.
I've been frequenting that trail quite a bit lately, so
Yeah.
we're getting
So
there.
it's a neat story of how it made the transition from being the railroad in town for so many, probably 150 years, to turning into a major recreational opportunity.
I remember when they were first started to do that. I used to walk the trail, even when it
Sure.
wasn't finished. And yet you had the holes from the bikes, the
Yeah.
motorbikes, and I always noticed that the man in charge would come back and forth and watch me to make sure I was all right.
Oh yeah.
So they had a good eye. you
Yeah.
know.
Oh, they do.
But I
They
seen
do.
it really built up and it made a difference.
Yeah.
So I usually go from a half-mile marker from one marker to the other.
Yeah.
And then I walk a mile and a mile back and
Yeah.
on the trail, and then maybe another half a mile to my house. Well, sometimes I'll walk even further than that. Sometimes I'll go to Connecticut, almost to Connecticut,
Right.
just before the last marker before
Yeah.
Connecticut, and all the way down to the golf course.
Nice.
And I walk back.
Isn't it neat that they've got those granite mile markers on there this summer?
Yeah, well, I was always-
Yeah.
I always had a pretty good idea of where how far it was, but it's kind of
nice
neat
to see it,
To
yeah.
see it, yeah.
Well, they were originally going to put in half-mile markers.
Oh,
But to see the half-mile thing, I always ask them to darken it up a little bit, so I can see where they are, because I usually, once I said, I go to the 1 mile marker.
yeah,
It's in the Congamon side.
right.
And then you don't get the other mile marker until you get to Connecticut, just about to Connecticut.
Right.
So I don't go all the way to Connecticut, I don't.
Yeah.
But, then on the other side, I go almost to the last stop the last half-mile marker before the Connecticut line again.
Yep.
And so I have a good time, and I walk it. I meet a lot of people. A lot of people get to know me.
A lot of people out
And
there.
they all say hello and how are you doing, and
Yeah.
and they all say I hope when you get your age, I hope that I can still be walking.
Yeah.
And that's the secret I told the church and I told everybody else. That's what keeps me going is the walking.
Sure.
Just keep walking. I can't walk in this heat with all the smoke and everything else.
Oh, yeah.
But normally I get out early and I'm off to the races.
I thought the senior center kept you walking.
No,
No.
I got invited to the senior center.
You're a regular here, aren't you?
Yeah, that's right. I'm a regular here, and I go on some of the trips.
Oh, good. Good.
Yeah.
So what's your favorite recent trip that you've been on with the senior center?
Well, I think the one that was the recent one I went on was to see the butterflies
Oh.
up in the South Hadley,
South
Yeah,
Deerfield.
yeah.
South
Yep,
Deerfield, and we had a great time with the butterflies. I've been there a few times. Some of these trips I go over and over again, but the
How's the bingo?
bingo's all right.
Yeah.
We leave it at that, huh?
Yeah, we'll leave it at that.
I'll
We'll
ask
leave
you
it at
that
that.
someday.
Yeah. How's the bingo?
how's
I
the
own two bingo machines. I don't know how to run them, but I have two of them.
I like bingo. And back in the old days, we had what they call in-the-house bingo. You know what I mean? The people, because the senior center had paid bingo, they came to lunch.
Yes.
But now we have everybody in there now
Yeah.
from different areas,
Oh, yeah. Different towns.
and so you have to get used to it. But
Yes, we do. We do.
But
No different than church.
church.
Right?
Well,
Church the same way. You get different people. It's okay. At
that's
your
it.
age, they're going to be different.
But anyway, yeah, and you got to, and a lot of things change,
A lot of things change.
and you got to catch up with what's going on.
Yeah, a little bit.
A little bit.
Yeah.
Because I went to school, Westfield State, and I went to school for counseling.
Yep.
'Cause my wife and I used to go to North Carolina
Yep.
to the old Jim Baker situation.
Yep.
And the first time we took her down there, she was sick and very sick. They had to go to the hospital.
Yep.
So she was in the hospital when she was there. And I was on a 2 weeks vacation from the post office, but I had a lot of time.
Yeah.
I ended up being down there a month. But so she told me to ask the bus driver, the cab driver, if she would take a ride around Charlotte where she was.
Sure.
And because she never saw Charlotte. And so the bus driver, the cab driver says, okay, he did. He took us a ride around Charlotte
Yeah.
before we caught the plane. And so she decided, and then we decided, what I do, we go to school to take up counseling, and then go down to North Carolina and counsel the people free,
Mhm.
and help them out as best we could.
Sure.
That was our problem. That was our plan.
Yeah.
So we went to Westfield State,
So you threw in a college degree among all
Along
those
the
other
way.
adventures.
was that an associate degree in
Associate degree.
psychology.
Well, that just adds to
How am
your
I
story.
doing? Am I doing okay?
Yeah, well, you're doing wonderful.
Okay, good, because I...
So anyway, so that was the we did that. We went to school. I guess we went to school. That was about 8 years for that.
Yeah.
And then there was a couple of other years. So I must have been in about 12 years inside taking different courses.
Yeah.
Sure.
So we got quite a place. Now it's because it wasn't as big as it is now.
It's very big now.
But,
They've come a long way, Westfield State, or Westfield University.
But we had quite a time with it.
Yep.
So and as for the senior center,
Yeah.
I'm probably the oldest person left.
Yeah.
It's in the senior center, and I started here. We tried to figure it out, and I started here in about 1985. What we didn't, they weren't here.
Yeah.
They were over in what they call. There was a restaurant over on
Point Grove, right?
Grove Road.
Yeah.
That's where it was, Catherine's Restaurant.
Yeah.
And then we went to Catherine's Restaurant. They got so big, we went to the church. And we were in the church for a while. Then came the time we could buy the school here.
Yeah.
The seniors bought the school, and I thought it was in '87, but they said it was somewhere in '94.
Gotcha.
So I've been probably a member of the senior center for almost 35, almost 40 years.
So you're like the shop steward.
I'm the shop steward. I'm the oldest one here.
Yeah. Well, we appreciate that.
But I've seen lots of changes. I've
Yeah.
seen people come and I've seen them go.
Yeah.
Yep.
But from the looks of the
I've seen-
group that's out there today, there's a lot going on here. A lot of people that are taking advantage of the opportunities.
And yeah, that's right. And it has grown.
Yeah.
And then, we got the building. I mean, we paid them $73,000 or something like that. It was, at one time, it was not too expensive, I guess. But then, you know what happened? The town moved in, and
Oh yeah.
we got pushed down where we are.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
So that's
okay though.
Well, we did good,
Yeah.
we've had I've seen directors come and I've seen them go.
Oh yeah.
So it's quite a place. It built up just like Southwick built up.
Yep. Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Yep. They're doing a great job.
And everything is working out.
Yeah.
And so that's Southwick now. And
Great.
the funny part, I'll tell you about the sidewalk. You know, they put the sidewalk on Congamon Road.
They did.
The state did.
The state
State
did.
Right?
did.
Yeah.
On one side.
On one side.
Yeah.
Well, one time had gone on my little walk, but I didn't realize it was going to get dark. And it got dark.
It got dark.
And somebody reported me to the police. And the police picked me up and took me home.
Nice.
But now they got the sidewalk, and I tried to walk it once, and it seemed like a long ways.
It does.
But it's funny. But that's how it. The times have changed, and people have changed.
Yeah.
But I've gone through it, and we've seen lots of changes in this town.
Well, I appreciate your time coming on today.
Well, I'm glad. I hope I gave you some information.
did.
This has
You
been
did
a
great.
wonderful visit,
Yep.
and we didn't know that we were talking to, first of all, a veteran of 3
Yeah.
major military conflicts in our nation's history, let alone the shop steward of the Southwick Senior
Yeah.
Center.
Yeah.
What a great opportunity.
Yeah. Well, I always try to help them out when I can.
Absolutely.
With the experience of.
They talk very highly of you.
Well, I appreciate it. And
They do.
So.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you for your time.
Well, thank you very much, and I hope that people enjoy
They will.
listening
I
to
can promise you they
listen to
will.
the program and get something out of it.
Thank you, George.
Thank you very
George.
much. Now,
All right, folks. That'll do it for this episode, and we'll be back shortly.
okay. Thank you very much. Amen. Amen.
That was fun.
The end.